Hello, welcome to the virtual enrichment series. Today, we are focusing on the seek and kill portion of the predation sequence. I'm Jen Friedline, certified behavior consultant, certified professional dog trainer, and certified family dog mediator. I'm the founder of Jen's Dogs, located in Cornelius, Oregon, where we specialize in behavior support and enrichment for dogs with big emotions. I advocate for force-free, relationship-based training to help families build calm, connected relationships with their dogs through thoughtful enrichment and behavior support. Let's start by defining enrichment. Enrichment means meeting an individual's species-typical, breed-typical, and self-typical needs through healthy, safe, and appropriate opportunities. Our goal is to structure the environment so the animal can rehearse natural behaviors, meet their needs, and engage in instinctive behaviors. This includes their dog-specific needs, breed-specific needs, and individual preferences. This matters because dogs are domesticated animals living in a human environment. When their needs go unmet, they will find ways to meet those needs themselves. That's when we often begin to see behaviors that create conflict in our homes. I'm a certified family dog mediator, a program focused on ethology. Family dog mediation encourages us to look at the whole dog. We use the model that dogs stand on 4 legs: learning, environment, genetics, and self. Looking at all 4 helps us better understand how dogs experience and respond to the world. The most important thing to remember is that we can directly influence 2 of those legs, learning and environment. We can teach our dogs new skills, and we can adjust the environment. We cannot change the genetics, those are already set, and we don't want to change who they are as an individual. Just like a 4-legged table needs all 4 legs to stay balanced, our dogs need support in all 4 areas as well. At Jen's Dogs, we divide enrichment into 6 core categories to help build a complete and balanced enrichment plan. Those categories are social, physical, calming, foraging and scavenging, problem solving, and the predation sequence. Thinking in categories helps us identify which needs are already being met and which ones may be missing. Once we identify those gaps, we can build an enrichment plan that creates better balance. All predatory animals have a predation sequence, and dogs are no different. Even though dogs have been domesticated, they still retain the complete predation sequence. Through selective breeding, different portions have been heightened or suppressed depending on the job we bred them to do. The full predation sequence consists of orient, eye lock, stalk, chase, grab bite, kill bite, dissect, and consume. When we talk about seek and kill as enrichment, we're tapping into a part of the predation sequence as well as intrinsic behaviors that many dogs were selectively bred to perform. The seek portion is locating opportunity. It's the process of searching for something that has value. Dogs may use their eyes through orienting and eye lock, their nose, or both. The seeking system is about gathering information from the environment and looking for the next opportunity. The kill portion is completing opportunity. Here we're focusing on the latter parts of the predation sequence: the grab bite, the shake bite or kill bite, dissect, and consume. Together, seek and kill allow dogs to complete an instinctive behavioral sequence. For many breeds, these motor patterns became the very reason they were developed. Because those behaviors were selectively strengthened over generations, they became intrinsic needs. If those needs are denied, the frustration can build. Therefore, when we provide appropriate outlets for these behavior systems, dogs often become more fulfilled, more satisfied, and better able to rest. It is important to understand that the seeking system is a primary emotional system. It's one of the core emotional systems that drives dogs to explore, investigate, and gather information about their environment. Everyone has an intact seeking system. It's curiosity. It's how we assess our surroundings, understand the world around us, and decide what to do next. Seeking is much more than simply finding something. It's more than playing a game or looking for food. It's an emotional experience that's happening for the animal. The seeking system activates the reward center of the brain and creates a chemical response, making the process itself intrinsically rewarding. Humans engage in the seeking system every day as well. Looking for a book to read, searching for something to watch, exploring a new hobby, or finding a place to eat are all examples of the seeking system at work. When we intentionally provide enrichment that taps into the seeking system, we're giving dogs opportunities to explore, investigate, and satisfy one of their core emotional needs. Activities like foraging, scavenging, scent work, and tracking are excellent examples of this. Seek and kill opportunities matter because they allow dogs to rehearse natural behaviors. If we don't provide appropriate opportunities, dogs will often create their own. These activities also support fulfillment. Fulfillment comes from performing the behavior itself, not simply obtaining the reward. Think about scent work. The goal isn't just finding the odor, the value comes from the entire process of searching. Seek and kill enrichment works the same way. The process is just as important as the outcome. By providing appropriate opportunities, we reduce the need for dogs to create their own outlets in ways that don't fit our homes or lifestyles. When seek and kill needs are denied, you'll often begin to see dogs creating their own opportunities. You may notice increased frustration or difficulty settling. This can happen anytime a behavioral need goes unmet. More specific to seek and kill, you may notice hyperfocus on wildlife, rodents, birds, or squirrels, hyperfocus on people, dogs, bicycles, runners, or moving objects outside the window, excessive stealing of household items, tearing up bedding, furniture, or other inappropriate objects, obsessive toy destruction, increased scavenging or counter surfing, digging in inappropriate places, resource guarding valuable chews, toys, or found objects, and difficulty engaging once they found something rewarding. Remember, the seeking system activates the brain's reward center. Those feel good chemicals make it difficult to simply walk away from the activity. Above all else, remember this: when you see these behaviors, your dog is creating their own opportunities to seek, chase, or dissect. They're not trying to be bad, they're trying to meet a behavioral need. These frustrating behaviors do not mean that dogs should be allowed unlimited or unrestricted access to practice seek and kill behaviors. The goal is to provide structured ways for your dog to safely practice these intrinsic behaviors in a way that allows them to feel fulfilled. This allows you to get ahead of the problem, which is always the main goal of enrichment. You are not waiting for frustration to build, you provide the opportunity before they become a source of conflict. By providing appropriate seek and kill opportunities and reducing the frustration, you not only are doing that for the dog, you are doing that for yourself as the guardians. These opportunities encourage play, curiosity, and engagement, reduces demanding behavior because the need is already being met, and it builds confidence through exploration and problem solving. Most importantly, it strengthens your relationship because you're no longer constantly interrupting behavior, you're providing that appropriate outlet instead. When you're building an enrichment plan, I strongly encourage you to keep some form of tracking system. Whether you use a notebook, a spreadsheet, or another system that works for you, having one place to collect your observations makes it much easier to see patterns over time. You can track the enrichment activities you're providing, what your dog enjoys, and the changes you notice along the way. The first step is to start with the behavior. Look at the behaviors your dog is displaying that seem difficult to interrupt or redirect. These are often behaviors that happen to the dog rather than behaviors they're consciously choosing. You might notice pacing, barking, pulling on the leash, difficulty settling, or many of the behaviors we discussed on the previous slides. You may also notice behaviors that are simply natural dog behaviors but are becoming difficult to live with. Next, map out what you're already providing. Take inventory of your dog's week and identify the enrichment activities they're already receiving. Then sort those activities into the 6 enrichment categories. This gives you a clear picture of which needs are already being met and which categories may need additional support. Once you've identified these gaps, you can intentionally choose activities that fill in the missing pieces and create a more balanced enrichment plan. Seek and kill enrichment naturally supports 3 enrichment categories. First, the predation sequence. These activities allow dogs to rehearse orienting, visually tracking, chasing, grabbing, shaking, and completing natural motor patterns. Second, physical enrichment. Because these activities involve movement, coordination, and body awareness, they naturally support physical needs. Third, problem solving. As dogs observe, investigate, make choices, and adapt their strategy through the activity, they're continuously solving problems in real time. Those 3 categories naturally overlap, making seek and kill enrichment one of the easiest ways to layer multiple behavioral needs into a single activity. As we shift into the family dog mediation lens, remember that different dogs experience the world differently. Behavior is functional. The behaviors our dogs perform gives us valuable information about how they're interacting with their environment. When we understand breed tendencies and the jobs dogs were originally developed to perform, we can make better decisions about the enrichment we provide. Breed gives us a place to start. Our observation tells us where to go next. The Family Dog Mediation Program organizes dogs into 10 functional breed categories: Bulldog, Guardian Dog, Gun Dog, Herding Dog, Natural Dog, Scent Hound, Sight Hound, Terrier, Toy Dog, and World Dog. Today, we're going to focus on 4 of those categories because seek and kill behaviors were most strongly emphasized in their original purpose. Those are terriers, bulldogs, guardian dogs, and natural dogs. Those aren't the only dogs that benefit from seek and kill enrichment. They simply give us the clearest examples of how selective breeding has shaped different parts of the predation sequence. Let's start with the terrier. Terriers are usually pretty easy to identify because most of them literally have terrier in their name. Some that people don't always think of are miniature schnauzers and many small mixed breeds. I also tend to think of Chihuahuas as honorary terriers because they have that same determination and tenacity. Terriers were bred to locate, pursue, dispatch, and dissect small prey independently. They don't need us to tell them there's a rat in the wall or a squirrel in the yard. They're already looking and they're perfectly capable of handling the job on their own. Their seek and kill tendencies include persistent searching in small spaces, strong grab bite, shake bite, and dissect behaviors, and an incredible amount of determination. I always describe terriers as tenacious. Once they decide something matters, they don't give up easily. Some great enrichment ideas for terriers include cardboard destruction boxes, rabbit skins or fur tugs, stuffed toys designed for dissection, dig boxes with hidden rewards, whole heads of lettuce or cabbage, and long lasting natural chews. Next up are bulldogs. Bulldogs came about by mixing terriers with guardian dogs, and they were bred for human entertainment. They have holding, gripping, and maintaining possession as the strengths of their breed. Their sequence is often very short and efficient: chase, grab, shake, done. They don't typically need the full sequence to feel satisfied. The terrier side contributes the determination and the tenacity, while their guardian side contributes the size and their strength. Their seek and kill tendencies include a powerful grab, sustained grip, a lot of shaking and tugging, and really enjoying the resistance and possession. Some great enrichment choices include structured tug games, spring poles, durable tug toys, larger natural chews, stuffed toys, and cardboard or paper to tear apart. Bulldogs are going to be very human focused, so while they would like to have a flirt pole, which is attached to the guardian, spring poles are often a better choice because they are stronger and attached to something else for their resistance. That also can encourage some independence. Guardian dogs work a little differently. Many were bred to observe, assess, and respond to changes in the environment. They're often large livestock guardians or farm dogs that spend much of their time watching rather than constantly moving. I always joke that guardian dogs are great managers because of their delegation capacity. They'd really prefer someone else handle the problem, but if no one does, they'll step in immediately. Breeds like Great Pyrenees, Bull Mastiff, Cane Corsos, Great Swiss Mountain Dogs, and even Dalmatians all fall in this category for different historical reasons. Their seek and kill tendencies are centered around the seeking system, strong environmental observation through visual scanning and investigation, and selective pursuit when they decide something truly requires action. Their enrichment is often much slower and more thoughtful. They would like more observation walks, hidden food searches, patrol style scent games, search and find activities, and puzzle feeders with multiple steps. Guardian dogs are incredibly intelligent, but they also expect their effort to be worthwhile. If every step doesn't feel rewarding, they'll often decide the activity simply isn't worth doing. Natural dogs retain the most complete predation sequence. These include breeds like Huskies, Malamutes, Akitas, Spitzes, and Keeshonds. Many were developed to survive independently in harsh environments, which meant they needed access to the entire predation sequence. They're very independent thinkers. In many ways, they believe humans need them far more than they need humans. Because of that independence, they often enjoy completing activities on their own with very little assistance from humans, although they do like to do things together with other dogs. Their seek and kill tendencies move fluidly through the entire sequence, from seeking, chasing, grabbing, shaking, dissecting, and consuming to complete the behavior. Some great enrichment ideas include variable scent searches, digging opportunities, multi-step search activities, whole prey style feeding where appropriate, and opportunities to work independently with very little direction from the handler. The goal isn't to micromanage these dogs, it's to create the opportunity and let them solve the problem themselves. Now that we've looked at these four breed categories, I want to remind you that every dog has a predation sequence. So even if your dog doesn't fall into those four breed categories, that doesn't mean that they seek and kill options would not be enjoyed by your dog. The four categories we discussed simply place greater emphasis on the particular motor patterns because of what they were selectively bred to do. Breed tendencies just help us predict what a dog may naturally enjoy, but observation tells us whether that's actually true for the individual in front of us. That breed gives us a starting point, but it does not give us the final answer. Our job is to provide opportunities, observe how dogs respond, take notes, and continue refining our enrichment plan over time. That's how we create enrichment that's meaningful for the individual instead of simply relying on breed stereotypes. Now let's talk about some of the common myths surrounding seek and kill. One of the challenges of living with dogs in today's society is that they're living in a human environment and they're constantly being told not to perform behaviors that are completely natural to them. One of the biggest myths is that if you allow a behavior, you're going to create more of that behavior. There is some truth to that. Rehearsal does make behaviors easier to access, but we also have to remember that behavior is information. When we see a dog performing one of these instinctive behaviors, instead of asking, how do I stop it? We should be asking, why is my dog doing this? And is there an appropriate outlet I could be providing instead? Another myth is that these behaviors are dangerous. Seeking, watching, sniffing, tugging, shaking, tearing, those can all look intense to us because teeth are involved. There's movement, and sometimes there's a lot of excitement. But those behaviors themselves are not aggression, even if they get labeled as such. They're normal motor patterns that have existed throughout canine evolution. The next myth is that destruction means your dog is being bad. It doesn't. Destruction often tells us that a dog has a need to tear, dissect, or work through an activity. Humans enjoy destruction also. We have axe throwing, we have rage rooms. Sometimes breaking something simply is a healthy outlet. Dogs are no different. The last myth is one that experience defies every situation. If I let my dog play tug, he'll become aggressive. If I let them shred a cardboard box, they'll shred every package that comes in the house. If they kill one thing, they'll want to hunt everything they see. I just want to remind you that dogs understand context, and providing an appropriate outlet doesn't teach them to perform the behavior everywhere. It teaches them where the behavior is appropriate. When we deny these opportunities, we often increase frustration. And when we provide appropriate outlets, we frequently see that frustration decrease. Providing seek and kill enrichment allows the dog to safely rehearse behaviors that already exist. We're allowing them to watch and observe the environment, to search, track, and investigate, to chase and capture opportunities, to grab, shake, tear, and dissect, and ultimately to complete the predation sequence in a way that feels safe and appropriate for us. The goal is always the same: provide the outlet before the eruption. When behavioral needs are being met appropriately, dogs are much less likely to create their own opportunities. Choice and agency are incredibly important in seek and kill enrichment. Our job is to provide the opportunity. Our dog's job is to decide what to do with it. Allow them to choose where and how they search. Allow them to follow scent or visual information independently. Allow them to decide how they want to interact with any enrichment that you provide. Let them complete the activity at their own pace. Some dogs will finish in 30 seconds. Others may spend 15 or 20 minutes investigating every detail. Both are okay. Watch for when they naturally disengage. Whether they're satisfied, overwhelmed, confused, or simply finished, all of that is information. The activity isn't about how we think they should complete it, it's about how they choose to engage with it. Now let's talk about ways we can actually meet these needs. For the full predation sequence, we're looking at starting with orient and eye lock, moving into chase, grab bite, shake bite, and possibly a little bit of dissect, and then depending on the activity, consume. If you're looking for a full seek and kill replacement, this is what you want to focus on. You're looking for enrichment that includes the entire process: the search, the capture, and the fulfillment. The dog gets to complete the entire sequence, and they do it mostly on their own. Flirt pulls are a great example because they allow the dog to watch, chase, grab, shake, and really kill the toy. You're allowing that natural completion of the sequence, and an added bonus is you're doing it together. So you have the ability for both of you to problem solve and make quick changes in the midst of this play. You can also use search games with toys. A great example of burrow toys. So not only do they have to locate the toy, then they get to dissect it safely, and multi-enrichment setups that end in similar fashion with maybe a long-lasting chew instead of toy after toy after toy. Primary focus is completing the full seek and kill behavioral sequence and allowing rehearsal of multiple instinctive motor patterns. If we're looking specifically at the seeking system, then we're really focusing on allowing the dog to use their eyes or their nose or both together. Scent work is a wonderful example of reaching the seeking system. Scatter feeding, multi-layer enrichment, tracking games, snifaris, and decompression walks all encourage dogs to explore, investigate, and gather information about their environment. This is also where problem solving naturally starts to shine because the dog is constantly making decisions. They're choosing where to search, what information matters, and what they want to investigate next. This can all be done without pressure from you, even though observation can be done with you. The primary focus here is activating the seeking system and encouraging exploration, investigation, and locating opportunities. To isolate the eye lock specifically can be very similar to activating the seeking system, but the main difference is that it's mostly focused on visual. And this is just the watching part of the predation sequence. There's very little movement. The dog is observing, gathering information, and tracking things visually, while they're deciding whether they're important enough to interact with. This can be watching other animals in the yard, like birds or squirrels, people walking through a parking lot, or dogs or children playing in the distance. You'll often see a little bit of sniffing mixed in, but for the most part, the dog is using their eyes. You can also do these behind barriers, like within a closed car or through a closed window, that will prevent them from wanting to activate into that chase or going into the next step. And this part is something that nearly every breed does because this is the first part of any use of the predation sequence whether they've been heightened or suppressed for hunting, herding, retrieving, or seek and kill. To isolate the chase part of the predation sequence is the movement. And this is where you lean into the physical side of enrichment and into the predation sequence. This is where you are going to get them really moving their body, really looking for control over that foot placement, and where they're going. So, flirt poles, fetch, rolling toys, bubbles, lure toys, robot toys. Those are all great examples because that's what is going to encourage the dog to move their body and pursue a moving opportunity. This can be done also with other dogs naturally in play. You will also often see them chase each other back and forth if they have room, and you can mimic this with yourself and your dog as well. There is quite a bit of problem solving happening in real time because they will need to adjust their gait or their foot placement or being able to decide what is safe or unsafe. So there's a lot of little micro problem solving that happens in chase activity. They're developing body awareness and coordination, timing, while expressing a very natural part of the predation sequence. Next is the grab bite. This is the moment when teeth make contact with the object. This can sometimes be difficult to isolate because it naturally flows into the shake bite, but there are still ways to emphasize it. Games like catch or carrying a toy or a pacifier, playing possession games, or holding larger chews all encourage the dog to capture and possess the opportunity without immediately moving into vigorous shaking or other violent activities. Your primary focus with the grab bite is the gripping and the holding and maintaining possession. And you can make this last a little bit longer. You can put it on cue. You can practice just an isolated catch where there's no real room for movement, or you can exchange different toys over and over to be able to just focus on that moment that teeth hit the skin. And this is good for puppies or dogs that are really struggling with bite inhibition because you're really calling to attention the strength and pressure that they're using their mouths for. Finally, we have the shake bite. This adds movement to the grab and allows dogs to express a very natural prey dispatch behavior. Yes, there is some violence to it, and that is okay. That is expected. This is exactly why we're providing an appropriate outlet. Burrow toys that the dog can find and completely dismantle, rabbit skins or fleece tug toys, inexpensive plush toys, and structured tug games all allow dogs to safely rehearse this part of the sequence. The goal is not destruction for the sake of destruction. The goal is allowing dogs to complete a natural motor pattern in a way that's safe, appropriate, and fulfilling. The great thing about burrow toys is that if they don't completely destroy the smaller toys, you can collect those back up, put them back into the burrow, and start over again. If your dog does like the full dismantle of the toys, if you get them from cheap places like the Dollar Tree or discounts during major pet sales, then or pet stores that are selling, then you feel a little bit better about them destroying things when you did not pay very much for them. Seek and kill enrichment is firmly rooted in the predation and physical categories. Problem solving often layers in naturally because dogs are constantly making decisions throughout the activity. One activity can meet several behavioral needs at the same time. That's what makes enrichment sustainable. Very few of us have the time to provide 6 completely separate enrichment activities every day. Instead, we build activities that intentionally layer multiple enrichment categories together. That's how we create balance, flexibility, and a plan that's realistic to maintain. Now let's talk about layering the remaining enrichment categories into seek and kill activities. The first is social enrichment. Social enrichment is simply doing things together. Many seek and kill activities naturally become shared experiences when we participate alongside our dogs. Games like tug, hide and seek, and scent work become cooperative activities where both the dog and the guardian are engaged. The most important part of social enrichment is reading the conversation. Pay attention to your dog's body language, their level of engagement, and their preferences. Sometimes they'll want you more involved, sometimes they'd rather work independently. Natural dogs, in particular, may prefer completing these activities with another dog rather than with a person. Our job is to observe and respond to what the individual is telling us. Foraging and scavenging layer beautifully with seek and kill enrichment. The goal is to make the search meaningful. Remember, the completion of the sequence matters just as much as the search itself. You can increase the challenge by wrapping food, placing items inside boxes, hiding rewards, or creating multiple layers for the dog to work through. And you want to encourage that exploration. Dogs are natural foragers and scavengers. They're professional thieves. This is one of my favorite categories because you don't have to buy anything. You don't even have to do anything. Most of what you need is probably already headed for your recycling bin, and you just have to sit back and let the dogs do what they want to do. Cardboard boxes, paper bags, packing paper, toilet paper rolls, all of those become opportunities for appropriate seeking and destruction through foraging and scavenging. As we have discussed, problem solving happens naturally during seek and kill enrichment. You are presenting a challenge or managing the environment, and you let the dog figure it out. Choice and agency become especially important here because every decision your dog makes is information. As your dog becomes more successful, then over time you can increase the complexity. Don't overwhelm them by making everything difficult the first time. Allow success to build confidence. And slowly add additional choices, additional steps, and additional opportunities to solve problems. Calming doesn't layer into seek and kill quite as naturally because so much of that activity involves movement and excitement. Instead, think about calming as what happens before or after the activity. You can try to slow the pace, but you're better off building in recovery afterwards. Once your dog has completed the activity, you can provide that opportunity to chew, consume, or simply relax. Often the satisfaction that comes from completing the behavioral sequence naturally leads into rest. The job is finished, the need has been met, and now it's time to recover. Not all dogs will immediately engage in seek and kill activities, and they're certainly not all going to do them in the same way. Some dogs have had these behaviors heavily suppressed throughout their lives and may need time to realize they're now allowed to engage. Focus on the individual. Match the activity to your dog's current skill level and ability to regulate. Keep sessions short, allow choice and agency, and observe how your presence influences the activity. Regularly inspect enrichment items for safety, and always maintain reliable communication so that you can pause, redirect, and check that equipment whenever necessary. Remember, our breed tendencies give us ideas, but your individual dogs give you the answers. All right, it's time to share, and I'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and use the chat. Share your dog's breed or breed mix. Tell me about any challenges you've had with seek and kill behaviors. Maybe you've been hesitant to try some of these activities because of things that you've heard in the past. Maybe your dog doesn't seem interested and you're wondering why. Or maybe you've already discovered activity your dog absolutely loves. I'd also love to hear how you think some of these ideas might fit into your current enrichment plan. I'll leave these prompts in the chat, and when we're finished, we'll go through them together and answer as many questions as we can. One final reminder before we wrap up: if something doesn't work the first time, try it again. Because these behaviors have often been discouraged throughout the dog's life, it may take time for them to realize they're actually allowed to engage. If your dog says no, that's okay. Take that information, try another activity, adjust the environment, change the level of difficulty, observe what changes. The goal isn't getting the activity perfect. The goal is learning more about your dog. Pay attention to what happens afterward. Do they seem more relaxed? Do they settle more easily? Do they seem more fulfilled? Those after effects are often more important than how they perform during the activity themselves. For seek and kill enrichment, our main reinforcer is play. Play supports emotional regulation, it builds confidence and understanding, and it allows dogs to rehearse intrinsic behaviors in safe, appropriate ways. Dogs are one of the few species that continue to play well into adulthood. As we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Allie Bender, who is co-author of Canine Enrichment for the Real World. She says, instead of asking ourselves how we get rid of this behavior, we should be asking ourselves, how can I provide a better outlet for this particular behavior? I think that perfectly summarizes today's presentation. When we begin looking for better outlets, instead of ways to suppress, we start building enrichment plans that truly support the dogs living with us. Thank you so much for joining me today. Our next virtual enrichment series is Saturday, August 15th at 10 a.m., where we'll be focusing on calming enrichment. If today's presentation helped you and you'd like support building an enrichment plan for your own dog, we offer individual enrichment planning sessions with Trainer Shay at the Jen's Dogs Training Studio. For our specialty services clients, those sessions are already included in your program. If you have feedback about today's presentation or ideas for future topics, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us through Paw Partner or by emailing info@jensdogs.com. Thank you again for joining us, and now let's move on to the chat.